Knees and toes.
The shoulders have to do with anything?
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Friday, March 6, 2026. As always, I'm PK alongside my co-host Phil, episode 419. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. You can find Phil's article there. It's a doozy. It's a long one. Took him all night, but he got it done. It's out on the website now, breaking down both the Rush and the Rock game. And look for the time breakdowns in the description of the show. This past week, no interview. PK was napping. Working on getting somebody for Colorado as we're speaking right now for next week. Power rankings and week 15 NLL Pick'em came out on Thursday. Also want to advertise that the NLLPA, they got merch out. They beat the NLL to it. Real cheap stuff, real good looking stuff. I'll be partaking in it. Yeah, it's the logos are good. They got a bunch of different varieties of stuff. So I'll be buying some stuff from the NLLPA. It's the Players Association for those that don't know what PA stands for. And then on today's episode, we got deadline deals for the Bandits / the league, even though Dietrich kind of said last Friday he's not making any moves, even if they go 2-0. I think he's bluffing. I think he's got a happy trigger finger for the trades. And then week 15 outlook along with some Sabres talk. I know we're both going to be looking down at our phones a lot because Sabres are in the mix of making a deal. We're recording Wednesday a little bit before 5 because we got plans tomorrow, Thursday. So if Sabres make any more moves, we'll have it on the Monday show. But we'll dive into the Sabres now. Winning continued, 4-game winning streak that started and continues. At least, they're playing Pittsburgh on Thursday. We don't have that yet because we're a day ahead. And even if we were recording when we normally do, we wouldn't have the results. But they're on a 4-game winning streak as of this recording. They beat Vegas 3-2. Zucker, Power, and Tage all scored. They were up 3-0. Vegas, I'm gonna blame my wife for this one. It's all Brooke's fault. She came in the living room to check on the girls, and Vegas scored twice. I told her to get out of the room, and guess what the final score was? 3-2. Line 27-29. Shots were 29-28 in favor of Buffalo. 0 for 1 on the power play, which came late in the third, but they were 1 for 1 on the power play. Or penalty kill, I should say. Penalty kill continues to be a strength for this team. Power play, I know they had scored like 8 of the last 10 games, something like that, but it's still really ugly. They're 25-5-2 since December 9th. They've outscored opponents 120-80. This team is an absolute wagon. I'm happy I jumped on this bandwagon, and I'm swimming, or trying to swim, in the deep end.
You're drowning.
I'm full on drowning. I'm drinking some water. I'm just trying to drink as I go so there's less water, so maybe I'll be able to touch the ground. But yeah, I'm happy I got in before this giant run started. I got in right in the middle of it, but I was like, okay, this team's making the playoffs. And I can't even remember what game it was, but I remember they came back, and I just went, I'm in. This team is making the playoffs. I'm fully into it. If I'm ready to be hurt again, I'm ready to be hurt. But this team just continues to pour it on. Even if they're not having good games, which the Vegas game, besides the first period and early in the second, I didn't think they were playing very well. I thought Vegas was outplaying them. They just find ways to win now. And this has been the key and a big issue with this team for years and years and years is even when they're up, they're like, okay, how are we going to blow this one? And the other team finds a way to win. This team doesn't do that. It's so interesting to see just something flip and them just going let's just try a different way of playing hockey because the way we had been playing for years ain't working. And the switch flip, they're getting all the good bounces now. The first goal for Zucker bounced off Jack Eichel and fell right to Jason Zucker. The second one with Power deflected and went in from the point. Tage one was beautiful, but 2 of the 3 goals,
right?
You got the bounces. Usually you don't get the bounces because you're not in the right spots. This team getting the bounces now, but this team has to add. And I know they're in the mix of trading for Colton Parayko. Hopefully that actually does happen, even though I got some mixed feelings on it. But they were in the conversation for Robert Thomas. This team's going for it. They have the pieces in the cabinet that Kevin Adams stocked full before he got canned. But I think that we're at the point where you have to not do what. Why did I just blank on his name? The GM that drafted Jack Eichel goes up to the podium and just goes, Buffalo Sabres select. Why am I blanking on his name?
I can picture him more than I can think of
I can
his
too.
name.
I'll look it up. But this feels like I don't want them to go full bore where they're just trading all their cabinets for like Evander Kane and Robert Leonard and the other defenseman they
Tim Murray.
Thank you. I knew it started with a T. Tim Murray. Not Regier. Yeah, Regier, Robin Regier as well. Like, I don't want them to go full on trade all their prospects and picks for the now, but you have a full cabinet. All these guys aren't going to have roster spots. When these guys fully get healthy, there already is going to be a roster crunch like the Buffalo Bandits have dealt with for years. It's time to package some of these pieces out and trade them for established now talent to not just get this team into the playoffs. Because to me, playoffs are pretty much guaranteed at this point. Like, if they go like 9-12 down the stretch here, they're in the playoffs. Like, that would put them at a 100-point pace. They need to make moves so they can compete. This team currently can compete with Tampa Bay. That's the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. This team can beat the teams that are below them. I want them to have the talent to go into the playoffs and make a bit of a run. Not even talking like Stanley Cup or anything like that, but win a series and be competitive the rest of the way through the playoffs. I think that's the right move for this team to get out from this drought and then make a big noise in the playoffs instantly because this city needs it.
Yeah, they just decided to start winning more than anything. They were like, hey, this losing thing is getting pretty old after 14 years. Let's switch it up. Let's try winning for once, and that has gone pretty well. I think the other big thing with this team, everything seems to have come together at the same time, finally. I feel like they've had seasons where the goaltending was good, the offense was horrible. They've had seasons where the offense was top 5, but the goaltending and defense wasn't there. This year, they seem to be putting it all together at the same time for the first time in a long time, and I think that is a big part of it. The power play is still a concern, and I still don't love what they're doing with the goalies of having them rotate every single game, but at the same time, they're winning. So it's hard to argue with their method currently because it is working. I think the biggest thing coming out of the Olympic break was, what are they going to look like after such a long time off? Like, we didn't want them to go on that break because you just didn't know how a team that was that hot was going to respond, and they responded with 4 straight wins. And one of them against Tampa, and Vegas is also still a good team. So, I mean, they've won some, not just games, but they've won some big games since coming back. And going 4-0, I think they've picked up right where they left off and have all the confidence in the world to keep going. I think I said yesterday their magic number is 9, I think, to get to 96. So that seems, like you said, well within range. It'd be nice to see them break 100 points. I think they can do that, but in general, it'd be nice to see a 100-point season. But everything they have going for them right now seems to be what they've needed all along. And just, again, everything seems to have fallen into place this season correctly. Like, I feel like they've had, very close seasons where they just missed out on playoffs, and everything just seemed like there was just one thing off here and there. And this season, outside of the power play, everything seems to finally have clicked and fallen in, and now they're also believing in themselves in the locker room, which is a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're almost a month left of the NHL season. They got 21 games left, 12 at home, 9 on the road, 12 against Eastern Conference, 9 against Western Conference, and it's not like it's a juggernaut. Like, they got Tampa twice. They got 3 against Washington, who's at the moment sitting at 69 points. They got Columbus, Pittsburgh, Rangers, Boston, Detroit, New York Islanders, and Ottawa. That's from the Eastern. And then the Western, they got Nashville, who's sitting at 62 points as of this recording. San Jose twice. You got Vegas once more. LA, Anaheim, Seattle, Chicago, and Dallas. Like, Dallas and Tampa Bay are the 2 toughest teams left on this team's schedule. They need to have an absolute epic collapse if they're not going to be able to make this playoffs. Like, they're going to be, hopefully, as this continues, because, I mean, any other season, like, this team would be guaranteed a playoff spot right now, but because of how good the Eastern Conference is right now, like, if you're looking at the Western Conference, 63's points is almost in a playoff spot. That's third from last in the Eastern side. Like it's nuts right now. But they do have a 8-point buffer over Columbus. Columbus has game in hand as of this recording, but they're just like, it feels like this team can almost do no wrong. When they lose, they bounce right back and get right back into it. They don't go on these long losing streaks when the other teams.
I wonder what their longest losing streak is recently.
It can't be much. It's like
2,
like
maybe?
Without getting a point. I don't even think it's 2.
Right.
Like to be
I don't
honest,
think so
like
either. Yeah.
I can pull it up right now, but
I think it's been a long time since they've gone on any kind of remote losing streak, which is
so
like
they're on a 4-game winning streak as of now. Right before the break, they lost 2 in a row, but one of them was in overtime to Tampa. They had another 1-game losing streak, a 2-game losing streak, but again, one went to overtime, so you got a point. They lost there, but bounced back with 2 straight wins, loss. Like their longest, they haven't lost 3 in a row since the start of the West Coast trip, where they lost against Philly, Winnipeg, and Calgary, and that's December 3rd, 5th, and 8th. That was the last time they had a losing streak longer than 1 game without getting a point. That's insane.
Yeah,
like that shouldn't be the case. Like it's incredible. This is the same team that went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1 and 8 in a stretch in October through November. That's what's insane. And they started on a 3-game losing streak this season.
Not that long ago.
Yeah, this is incredible that the run that they're on right now. Like I know when they went on that 10-game winning streak, we're all like, okay, how do they respond when they come out of this? They just haven't stopped. It's insane. Like, let's see this one. I think I said it, five games that they flat out lost since December 8th. That's incredible. Like, so what was the stat I just put out? And I know I have it right here. So in the 32 games since December 9th, they have not gotten points in 5 of those 32. That is unheard of, unbelievable. Like this run is unbelievable. And that's why it's so important that they go out and get a piece for the now, because who knows, like we're experts on this. Just because you make playoffs this year doesn't mean you're going to make it again next year.
Right.
Like Alex Tuck feels like he's not going to re-sign here. And if he is, it's going to be a UFA.
This deal goes through.
Yeah, there's not going to be enough money for him. And even if there was, they're in the range of $8 million and he wants over 10. Like, you need to go make it happen now. And again, I'm not talking about Stanley Cups. I'm talking about getting into the playoffs, winning a series or 2, and going on a run and making it worth it. Because, again, who knows when this is going to happen again? Just because it's happening now and the whole team, a majority of the team's coming back next year, doesn't mean we've seen it in the last 15 years. Finger snap and everything changes. But that's why I'm so big on them going out and making a move now, because they have to. Like this is a good elite hockey team that just needs a few more pieces to it to improve the now. Like I'm not,
and it shows that they're being rewarded for all their hard work and everything that is going right. Like if you go out and make a move, it just shows to your team as a brand new GM that you're willing to go out and fight for them and get them a piece to push them further along.
Yeah. I mean, I still would have rather had Robert Thomas, but based on what they're getting for Parayko, I think that they wanted probably ownership of the Buffalo Bandits. If I think if Robert Thomas was going to be traded. So I get why they didn't make that move. I still would have preferred him because this offense to me still needs another top performer. But I mean, your defensive core is going to be one of the best top 6 in the NHL. Plus, that means Metz is going to get bumped out, and he's played unbelievable. Timmins probably isn't going to have a spot when he comes back. He's going to be the healthy scratch 7th man. Like, this defense is so elite that I don't know what they're going to do with the rest of the team because the defense is going to take up so much money. Like, it's incredible. I am so happy that we didn't full on just like chop them from the rotation.
We were close.
Sabres.
We were close.
We were very close.
We never had the official conversation. I think that's why they stuck around as long as they did, because we kept saying like, oh, we got to have a talk about the Sabres. We got to have a talk about the Sabres. And we never really did. We just kind of kept them on, and it got really bad. And we were like, all right, well, we really got to talk about the Sabres because this is sad. And then, oh, look who it is.
But we will close this out by, again, the trade deadline is Friday. We're recording on Wednesday. So if more things transpire, which trading for a defenseman, I still think they need to go add another forward. I don't think they're done. And Yarmo, please don't be done yet. Like, go
Get aggressive.
yeah, get somebody. But if this is the asking price, we'll see what happens. I see it. Do something. We'll move on here to the Buffalo Bandits this week because they're on bye. Instead of you asking us, we asked you this week to find out. Okay, trade deadline for the NLL is coming up as well on Monday. I believe it's at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we asked you out there, who are your top trade for targets for the Buffalo Bandits? And again, listening to Dave Buchanan talk to Steve Dietrich last Friday in the pregame show, he basically said, like, hey, if they go 1-1 or 0-2 this weekend, we're going to have some conversations and players might not be around anymore. But if we go 2-0, I'm pretty much going to hold steady. I'm going to make some phone calls, but unless something's really cheap, I'm not going to do it. I am hoping that this is just GM talk and he's trying to drive down prices everywhere. I know they went 2-0 this week, and I know they looked really good. You took down one of the top teams in the league and a team that was competing for a home playoff game. To me, this offense still is not good enough for them to go on a big run. And I still understand that this team's going to look vastly different next year because I would assume Matt Vince is not going to be in a Bandits uniform. I don't believe Paul Dawson is. Ryan Benesh already flat out said that this is his final year. Kyle Buchanan, I can't imagine coming back either. Like, a lot of these guys came back for one more go at it. And again, I get that you're going to have to get younger. You're going to have to change the framework and the core of this team, but that's next year. Like, these guys came back for a title run. They deserve it, and you have the responsibility to go out and get players to add to this team to make it realistic. To me, right now, even after everything I saw this weekend, I can't ignore what I saw the prior 5 to 6 games.
Right.
Like, that was there. I can't just forget that it didn't happen. You lost to Philly. You lost to Ottawa. Like, you got doors blown off by Colorado. You lost against Rochester in a game that wasn't very competitive. I can't just let,
because you couldn't score enough goals.
Yeah, I just can't ignore what had happened because of what is happening now. Again, they look completely different. The offense looks a lot better. But I think another factor in here is, how long is Ian McKay out? Like, is this a more long-term thing? Is it just a week thing? But it shows, if Ian McKay goes out for a game, sure, Ryan Benesh can fill in for one. But if it's a longer-term thing, I don't think Ryan Benesh is a player that can come in and fill in for weeks on weeks on weeks, because that's also pushing Clay Scanlon up. And I don't think you can push Clay Scanlon up to the number 2 on the left-hand side. So I think that they need to go out and add a piece, and that's why we asked the people out there. I think the number one option was by far and away Joey Rez was mentioned, I think, by pretty much everybody that wrote in. Some people mentioned names that are just impossible. Like, I think some of the listeners here just are not realistic to an extent. Like, I saw Brendan O'Neill multiple times. I saw Dyson Williams multiple times. I even saw Chris Cloutier and Chase Frazier because Las Vegas is 4-6. Like, I knew those were going to straggle in, but I just didn't know how many people would actually mention those names. But yeah, Joey Rez was the number one name. But I also, we broke this down. I guess before we dive into it fully, right now, Phil, as the GM of the Buffalo Bandits, who is your number one trade for target as the deadline approaches on Monday?
I think it's changed for me, despite how much we've talked over the last bajillion weeks now. Pretty much since season started, we've wanted Joey Rez back on this team.
I don't think we talked about him too much.
No, I don't think so. Only a couple of times. But I
it
think
would be
I have
like the what was it, the YouTube rap thing where it like shows the name or words that we say the most.
Yeah.
I wonder how
Spotify
often
rapping.
Joey Rez would be pulled up in that one.
But yeah, I do think I've switched a little bit. Still the same team, but I've jumped on your bandwagon of Fennell. I think
Not mine.
right.
That was Patty Gregoire. I can't take credit for that one.
His top choice then. Fennell to me, I think, is my current top choice. I think what he brings is what the Bandits are lacking, especially on that left side. The righty side's pretty clogged right now with Nanakoke, with Buchanan, and with Smith. The lefty side is lacking in general, and I think they're really missing that Chris Cloutier player on that side, that big physical guy who can also score goals. Fennell is a lefty, so he'd be on that left side, and he's got 57 shots on goal. In 11 games, he's got 15 goals, 21 assists, 36 points. Those numbers aren't huge. They don't, explode off the page or anything like that, but he's doing enough for sure. And again, what he brings outside of just goal scoring and outside of getting points, which is still pretty good for what he's able to do, he brings that physicality. He can set the lanes for Josh, get him open, and unlock Josh Byrne a little bit more, whereas I don't think the current lefties on the team can really do that for Josh. And I think that also opens up the ability for McKay to play a little bit more of the two-way player. And I think we've seen when he's been asked to play more defense, a little less offense, his offensive numbers have actually gone up. I think it just really did ease him up a little bit and kind of let him relax and not be so stressed about being such a focused part of the offense. I think he's just playing more out of his head and just more free lacrosse, being a little bit more offense and defense. I think adding a big player like Fennell would give him the ability to play a little bit more. And I think, like you just mentioned, with all the lefties, if he is injured, it gives you another lefty depth, and I think it bumps everybody back down where you'd rather have them, like a Scanlon, like a Benesh. It bumps them back down in the depth a little bit. So to me right now, I think Fennell is my number one option.
Yeah, I feel like he is a very achievable player that won't cost a ton to go get because of his age, because of what Philly's situation is. He's not a piece that you would rebuild around. He's somebody in there that was in there to help Brennan O'Neill take that next step, and I believe Brennan O'Neill did. When you're looking at this, though, again, I've said it multiple times, and I think a bunch of other people have said it. I love the unified standings, but the one thing that the unified standings did that's a negative is every team kind of feels like they're still in it, even though they shouldn't. Like right now, Buffalo's in one of those last spots. They're 6-6. So to me, there's a bunch of teams that should be sellers. And if Buffalo had gone even 1-1, but they lost to Toronto, we would be having a completely different conversation this week. Like if they went 0-2, which was a very realistic possibility going into it, we thought they'd go 1-1, but beat Toronto and still be alive. And we would be here talking about that conversation. But say they go 0-2, we would be having that conversation of them sitting 4-8 going, okay, it's time to sell, boys. Even if they went 1-1, but they beat Saskatchewan and they lost to Toronto, I would still be having that conversation. You're sitting 5-7, but you just lost to another team that's going to have the tiebreaker over you down the stretch here. But because they went 2-0, we're having a completely different conversation. The sellers to me right now, and there's 4 in my mind. It's close to being 5, but there's 4 right now for sure. Teams that should be sellers. There's 3 guaranteed. There's a 4th one that I think teams are like, or people might be like, they could go on a run because I'm already hearing that again. It's Oshawa, it's Calgary, it's Philly for sure. Those 3 are my guaranteed. They should be selling right now. Anything that's not tied down should be moving out to help the now, or the future, I should say. And then it's Halifax. Like Halifax, yeah, you just beat Calgary last week, but you're sitting 4-7. Your schedule's like manageable, but the teams you got to jump to get ahead, it's going to be very tough for them. Like Halifax is sitting where I think I would be if Buffalo had gone 1-1 last week. That's where they're at. So I took a look at those 4 teams. Oshawa right now, for next year, after this season's UFAs, they do not have their franchise tag because currently that's on Doug Jamieson next year. That they can't use their franchise tag. So the one player that's a UFA that could have been franchised is Nick Chikowski. I can't see them moving him. Like, I think they would still try to have conversations and bring him back before he even hits free agency. But to me, how well he is, he's a core piece to that team. I would be completely shocked if they were to move him. Kyle Rubish, he can reject the franchise tag. So even if a team tries to trade for him, he can just say, nah, I'm good. Same with Colton Watkinson. The captain of the team. The only one out of those 3 I can see getting moved is Kyle Rubish. And the biggest thing for me, based on what we saw from the defense, I don't see Buffalo targeting a Kyle Rubish. I think he goes to maybe an Ottawa. I mean, maybe a Buffalo.
Not
Um,
Buffalo.
yeah, I do not see Kyle Rubish coming to Buffalo. I don't see the other two getting moved, but that's how Oshawa's situation is right now.
Yeah, I agree. I also wrote Kyle Rubish down as a potential option, but for the same reason, like they continue to try to ship out the older, slower guys in Buffalo right now for the younger, faster, speedier guys. So I can't imagine that. Like they have so much veteran talent at this point that you
Right.
don't need to bring veterans in this year, which is something that they often do at the trade deadline. It's a little bit different of a trade deadline for Buffalo, where most times they're trying to bring in a veteran to give them that extra push, give them that extra leadership heading into playoffs. That's all. I mean, that's not all they have. They have a lot of veterans, though. We all know they're the oldest team in the league. Like, they don't need the veterans this year to push them through. They need younger players, they need speed. So I don't think you're going to see typically like last year, the year before, Kyle Rubish, I would have said, yeah, like that's the kind of guy that they want to bring in. But this year, I don't think that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah, I'm going through the trade deadline. Like last year, Cal Matisse was the player that they brought in, a veteran on the backside. I know Ron John was at it, but he's also a bit of a younger piece. I'm going through prior years. Paul Dawson from 2 years ago, another veteran piece that they brought in. Um, let's see, who else did they do? Brad McCauley goes out a couple years ago, but a few years ago they bring in an Adam Bomberry as well. So like he's always making moves to bring in some pieces on the back end. It never hurts to bring in depth on the back end, but I think when you have a guy like Taylor Dooley, even Carter Coffey that comes in that shows that they can be reliable and trustworthy back there, the need to bring in a veteran defensive piece, to me, I that wouldn't be my target, especially when you're healthy scratching Zach Belter for some reason. Like there's a ton of pieces back there that aren't being used that can slide right in if there is an injury, because this team is pretty much fully healthy minus Ian McKay right now. We'll flash forward to Calgary right now. I mean, they do have their franchise tag, and there's two big names on this team that are probably at risk of getting franchise tag next year. Riley Lowen cannot get franchise tag. He can reject it. He can be offered it, but he can reject it. But I think he's more of a West Coast guy. I don't think that he fits with this team. Pretty much all of Calgary, I don't see coming to the East Coast, because if they wanted to, I feel like they would be here. And then it comes down to Tyler Pace and Eli Salama. If I'm Calgary, I'm deciding between those two, and Eli Salama is the captain right now. I do not see them moving him. I think that if they want to be smart, they do what they did with Christian Del Bianco. Like Tyler Pace, I know they franchised him last year, so maybe Eli Salama is willing to go like, I'll re-up here, and then you can use that franchise tag again on Tyler Pace. But if there's a chance that you lose one of those two guys, the one that you're probably going to lose, I would ship out the door for whatever pieces that you can get right now, because I don't think that it is. I don't think it's fair to the organization just to lose these guys. Like I know Curtis Dixon and Dane Doby and Jesse King, but they were in the playoff race last year. Like they had a team, they went out and got Nick Rose to try to make a run for the title.
Yep.
This year, they're sitting with 2 wins. Like you're not making the playoffs here. That's why I think whoever between Tyler Pace and Eli Salama is not going to re-sign, they have to decide, okay, what can we get for this guy? And if I'm Vancouver, I'm calling and saying like, Tyler Pace ain't going to re-sign with you. You're going to slap the franchise tag on Eli Salama and then come in the free agency market. We're just going to sign Tyler Pace. What'll it cost to get him now? Like, you can probably get a first in a very loaded draft when you don't have your first this year. So I would be shocked if Calgary is at least not fielding offers for one of these two guys.
Hopefully he does not go to Vancouver. That would be upsetting.
That would be a disgusting right side.
Yeah, they'd be extremely good. And I wonder if there is a little bit of distaste, I guess, between Calgary and Vancouver right now, with Vancouver stealing most of their players, where they're like, we're not trading you Pace. Like, I know you want them and everything, and you can have them next year, but we'll trade him to somebody else. We're not trading him to Vancouver. Again, it's like Buffalo and Toronto don't often help each other. I feel like it's pretty similar right now with Calgary and Vancouver. Like, we'll trade Pace to get something for him, but he's not going your way.
Yeah, before we dive over there and go over Halifax and Philly, let's go over our sponsor of the episode because I know we're going to be talking more about Halifax and Philly and then who I think Buffalo should target this draft or trade deadline.
Tap That Tap Room is at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. They are Buffalo's first women-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps offering a wide variety of ciders, beers, sours, seltzers, and malt beverages.
They had a very busy week, but the week isn't over just yet. We did see all the pictures of the gnomes and the trees. That was fun showing there. But Friday, 7 p.m., it's the Sip and Solve. It's a beer investigation coming to Tap That Tap Room. There's limited tickets available, so even if you're listening to this now, you might not even be able to get in. Tough titmouse. You should have bought tickets earlier. Self-paced mystery night where you can solve clues to earn your next beer. So if you're really thirsty, you're going to be solving those puzzles real quick. It's your own version of the game Clue, but in real life. I am excited for this. I sadly have a soccer game at 8, so I can't partake, but I'm kind of hoping that this is going to come around once more because I wish I could do this is pretty much what I'm saying. So if I can't do this, hopefully you out there will go do it in my honor. And let me know if you win. And I know it's not a winning thing, but be the first one to solve it.
It is the PK.
It is to me. Everything's a competition for me. But they got a busy month coming up. To find out what else they got coming up and to find out what's on tap. Sorry, I screwed that up. Find out what's coming up. Check out their Facebook page and find out what's on tap and what's on deck. Check out tapthattaproom.com. Halifaxville. This team is loaded with UFAs. And what's even worse for Halifax is their franchise tag is currently occupied with Jake Withers. So they can't franchise tag any of these guys. The guys that can reject it, Tyson Bell, Warren Hill, Graham Hossack, Cody Jamieson, and Ethan O'Connor. I do not think Warren Hill is going to be traded. I do not think Tyson Bell will be traded. I would be floored and will give up this podcasting if Cody Jamieson gets traded because I think he's going to take a front office or a coaching spot on this team next year. The two names that I think could be and should be having phone calls called about is Graham Hossack and Ethan O'Connor. Ethan O'Connor, I feel like Buffalo would make a phone call because I don't think that he would cost too much. I think maybe like a 3rd or 4th round draft pick to bring him in as a depth defenseman that knows the system. It's not like you're going to have to integrate him and have to learn a whole new scheme. It's the same defensive scheme from when he was playing. A lot of these players are the same. A couple guys that they can't reject it are Colton Armstrong, Johnny Pearson, and Trevor Smith. Trevor Smith ain't moving. He's too valuable to this team. They're going to try to get him back. Johnny Pearson, I don't see moving out of Halifax either. And then Colton Armstrong, they value him too much. It comes down to Graham Hossack. How much would it cost to get him? And then it comes down to Buzz Buffalo, want Ethan O'Connor. But I think really for that team, it comes down to those two players. I don't think Buffalo would pull the move for Graham Hossack. I think other teams around the league might, like in Ottawa. Ottawa might want to do that because they hold Oshawa's 1st round draft pick. And then, Ethan O'Connor if Buffalo wants to swing that deal.
So I did create one trade for Graham Hossack. I created 2 trades in general, but we're not at the other team yet. But yeah, so my Graham Hossack deal, which you're going to be Dietrich and you're going to be Halifax in this situation.
Oh,
so
both?
it's
okay.
What you got? I want your opinion from both sides.
Okay.
So it's a 1-for-1. This player's been against our better judgment. A healthy scratch for Buffalo. Would you do Belter for Graham Hossack straight up? Buffalo can't seem to get him in the lineup for some reason. I don't know why, but he's still very young. He's got contract left for Halifax. It's still this general area. And you get a top, 10-ish defenseman in Hossack to push through to playoffs and a possible championship this year?
So this might shock you. If I'm Buffalo, I'm saying no. Just based on what that defensive core is going to look like next year, and there's no guarantee that Hossack is going to be back.
Correct.
And I feel like, at least to me, and if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, I'm on this side. I think Zach Belter is a core piece to that back end for years to come. If I'm Halifax, I'm saying yes. Just because Zach Belcher's a core piece. I feel like he would fit that system perfectly with Halifax. They give them a lockdown defenseman that they don't really have back there. And then in the offseason, you just go re-sign Graham Hossack. Like there's no answer to me for Halifax, because Graham Hossack, to me, as of this moment with Halifax ain't making playoffs. Even if they beat Vegas this week, you beat Vegas, cool, but Vegas currently isn't in a playoff spot either. You're sitting 5-7. Then you need to go 5-2 the rest of the way. It's not happening. Like, their season is done. I if I'm Halifax, I'm saying yes. If I'm Buffalo, I'm saying no. Maybe that's a different answer than you thought I was gonna give, but yeah,
I think it's the answer that you and I believe.
That's fair,
but I don't know if that's what Buffalo believes. I don't know why Belcher continues to be a healthy scratch on this team. It makes no sense. You just played a rookie in a must-win game over him. So I don't know if he's fallen out of favor in Buffalo. I know.
That's what makes no sense. Like the two playoff runs, he was in the lineup and playing meaningful minutes every time.
Yes.
This year, he's been a healthy scratch 3 times, and you played a rookie over him in a must-win game against your arch rivals on a road. Like
right.
I don't understand. Like I think I said it the last episode. This 6-6 record has more exposed some of the management and coaching roster decisions that I just flat out don't agree with. So
I agree with you. Like, I wouldn't personally trade Belter for Hossack, but I wonder if he really has just fallen out of favor with Buffalo, and that's a move that they would make for this year, and then they have faith in Coffey or Dooley or whoever to step up moving forward.
Issue is he's a lefty, and those two are righties.
True.
That would be
That's very true.
issue.
Well, McCannell pretty much somehow stole his job anyway.
That's fair. And Whitty and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's Halifax. I really only see like 2 names there. And to me, it's Ethan O'Connor is the main one. We'll move on to Philly here. They do have their franchise tag. They can still use that. But they got 3 guys that can reject it and 2 guys they can't. Chris Corbeil is their captain. I do not see them moving him, even though they probably should be fielding phone calls. Kyle Jackson just signed as a UFA. I don't think that there's very many locker rooms that want him for some reason. I know there's a bunch of comments behind the scenes, but I'm not getting into that. Then Joe Reseteras. He came back to this organization after a career year last year. He's been the most talked about player across the league, in my opinion. I think Buffalo would be foolish not to call and ask about what the offer is, but I do not think, based on Steve Dietrich's comments, that he would pull that big of a move. Evan Messenger is also a UFA, and Liam Patton. I don't think either of those two are going to get the franchise tag. So Philly's in a interesting position. They do have their first round pick, so I mean, winning really doesn't do them any favors. They would be smart to tank in a correct way, in my opinion, which is trade the pieces that aren't going to be helping you right now and build around the Michael Sowers, build around the Brennan O'Neills, and so on and so forth. So if I'm Philly, and they've kind of already started it a little bit with Mike McCannell and Nick Rowlett gets moved, and they bring in Dylan Hutchinson. So I would be shocked if Philly's not very active with Paul Day at the helm. But yeah, to me, as much as we've talked about Joe Reseteras, and listening to Steve Dietrich, I have a name that's off the board that we haven't even mentioned yet. I got 2 of them that I think would be targets for Buffalo moving forward. But what are your thoughts on Philly?
Philly, I'm doing a monster trade. It will not happen. There's
are you getting
no way,
2 Philly players right now? Is that what you're trying to pull off?
I'm getting 2 Philly players.
Yep.
So we're going...
Phil's fixing the offense in one foul swoop.
See, and that's where you're wrong. We're going Nielsen, a first, maybe a second, and Shagnosh for Daymood and Fennell. Fix your goalie problem now. You have Daymood as your future goalie and veteran behind Vince for the rest of the season. You slap a Band-Aid on your future goalie situation, and you take care of your offensive problems now.
Can you go over that trade one more time?
Yeah, Nielsen, a first, probably a second, and then Shagnosh.
For Daymood and
Fennell.
Whew.
Swing big, get your goalie of the future.
Me? So this is where I'm switching. I would do that deal. Like if I'm sitting in Buffalo, I would do that deal. I think Philly also does that deal. Realistically, in real land, I don't think they're doing that deal. I think Buffalo values Shaganash too much, and I believe they really do think that he's the future. I don't know why, but I feel like the rest of the league doesn't value Nick DeMood the same way that people outside of the league do. Like, he's a legit stud of a goalie. Like,
yes,
any other goalie in this league, put Brett Dobson on this team, he would not be putting, like, he would struggle with what Philly's doing to Nick DeMood. And he just held, I know Georgia's not the high flying offense, but he held them to 5 goals and shut them out in the second half. He's constantly making 40-plus saves when he's facing 60-plus shots a game. So I love Nick DeMood. I know you have from his Panther City days. I would make that move because you know what you're getting out of Nick DeMood. You don't really know what Shaganash is going to end up turning into, and it's not like Nick DeMood is in his 30s. He's, 26, 27 years old? Like, he's still getting into his prime. You can have him for another 10 years and know what you're going to get out of him when you don't know what you're going to get out of Shaganash. And I am high on Shaganash. Everything that I'm hearing from people, people love him. I think that would be a perfect move for Philly to restart it. You go with Deaconot until Shaganash is ready. You get a young righty forward that you can pair with Brendan O'Neill, and you get a first-round pick and a deep draft. Buffalo gets to fix their lefty side, and he's under contract for next year, and you get your goalie for the future that can listen behind Matt Vince for a few more games to pick up even more habits, and then next year, there's your transition perfectly. So I'm on board with it. It ain't never going to happen. Like, this is a Madden trade that would make sense in real life, but neither GM are going to do it. But I love it. I'm on board. Where do I send this into the commissioner?
And I do like Shaganash a lot. But the issue with him is he's so young. Like, Byrne and Smith are they still have plenty of years left, but their prime is now, and I don't know if they have time to wait for him to be ready. So you're gonna need some kind of Band-Aid in between, and I don't know if Evan sees the answer either. So they're gonna need some kind of veteran goalie for next year, maybe the year after, while Shaganash is still cooking and trying to get a little bit better and develop. He's still really young, so do they have time to wait 2-3 years for him to be ready? Like, at that point, Dane and Josh are 35, 36, 37?
Right.
And on the wrong side of their career at that point. So, like, to me, this makes more sense where you don't really have to rebuild. You're just retooling because your goalie's already there. And from there, you just kind of take that step forward. Like, okay, we got our goalie. We're ready to push right again and carry on with the Dane and Josh show. But like you said, I don't think it'll ever happen, but I wanted to throw it out there for fun.
Yeah, I like it. It makes sense. Philly should do it. Buffalo should do it, but it makes too much sense for them to do it, so they won't. Before I dive into the 3 players, and one of them you already mentioned, let's go over what Buffalo does have right now. Their pending UFAs are Banesh, Buchanan, Dawson, Desnew, McKay, Spanger, Weiss, and Vince. Those are UFAs coming up off the books next year. In the cabinet, though. So this is what you're working with on top of the players that are currently on the roster, and everybody already knows those. But this is what they have in the cabinets right now that aren't pieces and players that are on the field playing. They got Luca Anton Giovanni, that you and I are still hoping one day maybe we might see him on the field. He was the 8th overall pick in 2024. Jimmy Freehill was the 32nd overall pick in this past draft. Angus McDonald, he's playing hockey, I believe, in the AHL. He was drafted by Dallas, I believe. He was the 57th overall pick in 2024. So those are 3 players that are currently on your draft list that Buffalo has their rights to, that are currently not playing in the NHL, that do not have NHL or NLL contract. I think I said NHL, sorry. Draft picks. This coming up draft, they have their own. I know a bunch of people are going to scream at me because swarmitup.com says they don't. They have their own first-round draft pick this year, and they have the higher, so the worse of the 2 comp picks if they're getting 2 for Kluch and Frazier. If they don't get 2, the one that they do get is going off to Philly for the Desnew deal. They have Vancouver second. They got Calgary second. They have Vancouver or Toronto's third, whichever one is lower, so it's probably going to be Vancouver's. They have their own 4th, their own 5th. They have 3 6th-round picks, their own, Vancouver, and Phillies. 2027 is much easier. Sorry. I know these are a lot of numbers. They have their own first, second, fourth, fifth. They have their own sixth, along with Vegas and Philly's sixth. And then 2028, they have their own. They have San Diego's second. They have their own fourth, along with Vancouver's fourth. They have their own fifth, and they have their sixth and Ottawa's sixth. So their cabinets are loaded with draft picks. And I know that they do have to get younger. I understand that. They have to get faster on the back end. They're going to have to replace Matt Vince at some point. Hopefully not for another 10 years, but who knows. So they have capital. But to me, I still think they need to go for it right now based on what is in the right now. Like, I think they need to. So based on what they have, I didn't really go over what it would cost to get these two guys. But to me, they are players that fit the bill of being younger. So it's not like I'm going out and getting a 36, 37, 35, or 38-year-old. They can come in, they'll have term, and they can stick around for a few years. I'm going to save my number one option because I thought about this one when I was going through all the numbers and everything this whole week trying to figure out what players I really wanted Buffalo to go for. My first one is Eric Fennell. Like, you already went over that. I'm not going to dive further into it. I think that fits the here and now and helps them get to a position where they can make another run at the championship. The team isn't winning. He's a UFA after next year, so he's got a full another year under this contract, and he's finally healthy and he's putting up numbers. That's an option. He's my number 3. My number 2 is out of Halifax, and his name is Mike Robinson. After a rookie year last year that saw him, take the league by storm and be one of the NLL rookie team, he was on that. He played phenomenal last year. His rights are controlled for a while. He's just 26 years old, and he seems like he has fallen out of favor in Halifax. Halifax has got to have to rework that offense. Who knows if Micah Kersey's back next year? They have Will McLeod and Mike Robinson who are kind of do the same thing. Mike Robinson has been scratched multiple times. It feels like he doesn't fit in Halifax right now, and I don't know exactly what changed from last year. I don't know. But I think that is a piece at just 26 years old. He's a lefty forward that can come in and provide some offense right now and into the future. So if you're looking to get younger, which I keep hearing Buffalo wants to get younger and faster, I think Mike Robinson fits that bill. So that's my number 2 option. What do you think about Mike Robinson?
I like it, yeah. I was just looking him up. 54 points last year, 22 goals, 32 assists. This year, just 7 points in 8 games. Like you said, not only has he, like you said, been a healthy scratch, but it seems like his numbers are limited in general. His time out there is probably limited in general. So, I mean, going from 54 points to 7, again, the amount of games is wildly different, but clearly his points per game are drastically off. So either, like, it seems like the talent wouldn't dip that much from one season to the next. Like, to lose all of that after your rookie season seems insane. So it seems, like you said, more to have fallen out of favor in Halifax than it is that he just dropped off the face of the planet talent-wise. So I like it. I like the idea if he truly has just, if he's just not what Halifax wants anymore and they want to try to replace him with a draft pick or something like that, and it gives Buffalo a player to build around for the future. I do like what he brings in the youth and just adding another true lefty forward to that side, which, again, they kind of desperately need, in my opinion.
So this one is my number 1 option after diving into it, because originally going into, the past few weeks, I've been just looking at players that are going to be UFAs next year that are just rentals for NLL reasons. This guy has another year under his contract. He'll be a UFA in 2 years. So you got him under contract next year. You got him under contract this year. He's having a down year. And that side just added a piece a couple weeks ago in Dawson Thied. His team needs to shake it up, and I know a bunch of people wrote in his partner in crime in Dyson Williams. Dyson's name ain't leaving Oshawa, but that offense needs to shake it up. It's been stale for a while. Remember last year they were like, okay, this offense is so good, we're just going to drop Dyson Williams into it, and we're going to be ready to take that championship run once again. It hasn't worked. Glenn Clark is kind of in a situation where, does he stay at both? Does he step back from the coaching or GM position, or does he get canned for one or both of those? I think when you're looking at it, they're not going to move Dyson Williams. They just traded for Dawson Thied. They're not going to move him. You're not going to move Ty Kurtz or Alex Simmons. To me, Ethan Walker's the odd man out. He's still young. He's under 30. He's the veteran piece besides Dawson Thied up there for Oshawa. Oshawa needs to change things up, and maybe Ethan Walker could be a piece of that. He fits the system here. I think he would fit perfectly under the umbrella. He's not too old. He's another piece that I think can slide right into the lineup, and then you can still go lefty strong if you want to. He comes in. He can be that second or third option between him and McKay. It pushes Scanlon down to that fourth option again, and it puts Benny as the healthy scratch over there. I think it fits the here, the now, and he's still younger. I think between him and Mike Robinson, it checks the boxes of everything that we're hearing of Buffalo wants to be younger and faster and have guys that can come in and replace the guys that are aging out. Ethan Walker, to me, makes too much sense not to do. Like, I don't know if it would be a trade deadline type of deal or an offseason type of thing, but if you're going for it, call up Oshawa. They're going to be needing to make some changes up front. See what you can get for Ethan Walker.
Yeah, the only thing with those two is it depends on, so they're both smaller, obviously.
Yes.
5'9", 5'10", both 170. And that's not a problem. It's just, I think the big thing that Buffalo's missing on the left side, especially other than just bruising physicality to open lanes up, is somebody who can get inside, because we haven't seen it consistently with Byrne. And I'm not saying that those two can't. I haven't watched enough of them to know if they can beat players with their speed one-on-one, because they are smaller. Can they get around them one-on-one and get to the middle and get to the net? I think they can, but I think that's part of Oshawa's problem, is they have too much of that. So I do see what you're saying. I do think he's the odd man out on that team. I do think they do need to shake it up. It just, does Buffalo want a bigger physical presence that can force his way and bully his way to the middle and maybe set some lanes for Byrne like a Fennell? Or do they want somebody who's more of a goal scorer like a Walker or Robinson, who might be able to beat people one-on-one with speed, but they aren't necessarily going to be opening things up for Byrne? But Byrne also just put up 7 assists and made it look really easy. So maybe that's kind of what they would like, is somebody to play off of Byrne and let Byrne shift to more of a assist man, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think he needs to be scoring and being a big focal point goal scoring wise of the Buffalo offense. But Walker and Robinson could, take some of that away from him in a good way and not make him so relied upon to score goals, and maybe just help him be more of a setup man, which he's kind of transitioned to a little bit more in the last few years. So I think it really comes down to what Buffalo wants on that left side. But I do like those kind of dark horse options for trade targets.
So I agree. I think this offense has always looked the best when you do have a bigger body guy there to free up space. But based on everything that the organization has always said that they want to be faster, I think that they would lean more like those outside shooter type of players rather than go get an Eric Fennell, even though I personally think that the offense has always worked best when you have a Brandon Robinson, when you have a Brad McCulley in there. If you add a Eric Fennell, I think that fits perfectly. So I personally think that your addition that you pulled out of Eric Fennell, and he's my third option as well, would fit perfectly on what this offense to me needs. But based on the comments, I think they might want to go younger and faster in a guy like Ethan. And I agree. They need to get more to the middle. I know Ian McKay said that in the press conference on Friday as well, that he needs to get inside as well. So they do have players that can do it and have done it. It's just they haven't done it this year. So I don't know if adding a Ethan Walker, who is an outside shooter, which is something that they have also missed with not having Chase Frazier, I think that could also add another element to this offense. But to me and you, I think it's clear and obvious we're not agreeing with what Chugger said. I do think they need to add a piece, and we both believe it's got to be on the forward end. But I thought this was going to be a shorter episode, but we're wrapping it up here. NLL Week 15. Can you believe there's only 7 more weeks to the NLL seasons? It's insane. Starts off Friday, 10 p.m., 6-5 Toronto, heads to 9-3 Vancouver. Phil, 30 seconds. What's your biggest talking point or thing that you're watching in this game?
Will Nick Rose be back? I think that's one of the big things. It's going to be a thing until he is back. I think Holochuk's done a good job in his absence, but 2 of the last 3 games, they've allowed 16 goals to Colorado, then held them to 9, and then 14 to Buffalo. So the extremely stingy defense and goaltending that was working for really, really long time. 2 of the last 3 games, they've slipped up quite a bit, and I don't know if this offense has what it takes to keep up with teams in those games. So that scares me for this team. So I think the big thing to me is if Rose is going to be back, and if he's not, can this defense and goaltending turn it around and get back to what they were doing earlier in the season?
Yeah, if you're Buffalo fans, I'm going to put out that tweet again that we did last week of who you want to root for. You're rooting for Vancouver in this one. Toronto, if they lose, they fall to 6-6. Can the offense get back to what they were doing? CJ Kurse had the bug where he just couldn't beat Matt Vincent last week, and Vancouver's on an absolute tear right now. They also went 2-0 in their double weekend this past week. So to get them to 10 wins, the number 1 seed is up for grabs now that Saskatchewan lost back-to-back games. So Vancouver has a ton to play for, but so does Toronto. Saturday, 6 p.m. I do like that all these games are spread out across 3 days, so you're not going to miss any action. 4-6 Vegas, 4-7 Halifax. Loser of this one is probably out, even though I already said Halifax is out. But if Vegas drops another one, they can't win games without Chase Frazier, and they're going to be probably without Chase Frazier once again in this one.
Yeah, like you just said, Vegas is on a 3-game losing streak, so this is their best chance to get right. Like this to me is their you have to win or else you're out of playoffs, like you just said. And I think from a trade deadline standpoint, I want them to win. I don't think Buffalo pulls the trigger on a Graham Hosek, but it'd be more interesting if Halifax is out there being sellers. And if they lose and Halifax wins, I feel like both teams will still probably feel like they're in it somehow. So don't love that. So Vegas, go get a win, and Buffalo holds a tiebreaker, so that's fine by me.
Yeah, this is one that I'm going back and forth on who Buffalo wants to win and who wants to lose, because I believe Buffalo has the edge over both of them right now.
I think so.
I don't know if you want to push Halifax fully out of it or give another loss to Vegas. So it's going to be a very interesting one, but this is going to be a very interesting game that has a lot of trade deadline complications with it. Saturday, 9 p.m., 7-5 Ottawa, 9-3 Colorado. Colorado, again, number 1 seed is in grasp, and Ottawa, if you can get that 8th win, you're giving yourself even more wiggle room to finally make the playoffs.
Yeah, Ottawa to me is very similar to San Diego. I know they're looking at 7-5 is a little bit different than what San Diego's doing, but they haven't had a lot of big wins this season. They've beaten up on the bottom of the league, which you need to do. Buffalo couldn't beat Philly, and we're never going to let that down. But this would be a really big game for Ottawa. If they can pull this off, I think they prove to the league that they're one of the better teams and that they're here to stay. But if Colorado comes out and punches them in the mouth a little bit, I think Ottawa goes right back to being kind of a question mark as who they are. And Andrew Q still leads the league in points per game at only player over 7 at 7.4. Fun to watch, like what he's doing in Colorado.
Yeah, he's pretty good at lacrosse.
He's pretty good at lacrosse.
Georgia, what are you doing? Whew, I know they're sitting fine, 8-5, but that trade is going to come back to bite them in the butt at some point. Sunday fun day, 1 p.m. 2-9 Calgary, 5-5 Rochester. Calgary on the tail end of a rebuild season. Rochester got off the schneid last week versus Saskatchewan. Can they keep it up and get another win, get back above 500? Obviously, Buffalo, you're choosing Calgary, but Phil, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is a big game for Rochester to me. Obviously, they need to win at 5-5, but they also just came off a 4-game losing streak. Like you said, it took them every little bit to beat the Rush, even after the Rush were playing back-to-back games. They had Thomas Kizak in, who, although he started really rough, ended up finishing really well. Hartley started really rough and ended up finishing really well. Both goalies, I think, finished with over 80% save percentage, which with how that game started, I don't really know how that's possible, but they really settled in. But I think this is a big game for Rochester just to push their season along. If you lose this one, I think you're really questioning what Rochester is.
Final game of the week, Sunday, 3 p.m., 2-10 Oshawa, 3-9 Philly. Both teams are pretty much done. I think the only thing is just the X next to their name or Y for eliminated. I can't remember. Oh, it's E. Why am I'm an idiot. E next to their name for eliminated.
Y, Y is what you want.
Yeah, both teams will be 13 games in after this weekend. I don't really know if it really matters who wins and who loses. This one is just coming down to hopefully all their players stay healthy so it doesn't impact the trade deadline.
Who has Phillies first?
They have their own first.
Oshawa doesn't have their first.
Oshawa does not. Ottawa has it. And then Calgary,
That's
Toronto
fine.
has their first.
Yeah, we need Calgary to keep winning. Toronto can't be, or Calgary can't be last place and give
Right
Toronto
now,
the first
at this
overall pick.
moment, if the season ended, Ottawa would have the first overall pick, Toronto would have the second, and Philly would have the third.
That's fine by me.
That works.
So yeah, this game I don't really care. Just whatever it takes to keep Calgary, even though Buffalo needs Calgary to win. So I don't know. Maybe these two teams can just push Oshawa further down. We'll do that. Philly, go get a win. Win 9-8 for PK. But Oshawa, just keep losing the rest of your season.
That works. But that will wrap up this one. On the next episode on Monday, we'll be recording before the trade deadline happens. So I guess we'll break down
We'll see
any
if
news or
anything happens
anything
in the
on the
meantime.
preview show the final week. We'll go over the Sabres games because I'm going to put it on. Phil, you going out to the bar on Thursday?
I am. I will be.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Peer pressure. You said it on. Yeah, now it's recorded. I'm not going to edit that out. You have to go now. We're going out to a bar to watch the Sabres game for the first time ever. Like last time they were this interesting.
Probably years
To
and years
root
and
for them
years,
to
if
make the
ever.
playoffs, we couldn't legally drink. So
Yeah,
this might
that's
be a
fair.
first.
That is true. Wow.
So
That's a good
monumental
point.
moment. Yeah,
Yikes.
God, we're old, and that's how long this losing streak or playoff
So
drought
with the
was.
Sabres.
But we'll also go over some more Week 15 action on the next episode, plus some Bandits talk. We haven't really planned on what we're going to be doing, but this is the final bye week of the Bandit season, so we'll cover happily. We'll find something to do. But that wraps up this episode. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. It's playing. Yay. Thank you for Tap for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Go. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com where you can find Phil's article. Give it a read. It's a very long one. So sit down, relax with a drink, and enjoy. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Thank you for 100 subscribers for YouTube, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.